So I've just gotten back from a little night out on the town with some friends up in London, and the skies are crystal clear. For the first time in autumn, it's finally stopped raining and gotten a bit colder, and like I said, the skies are crystal clear. All day it's been pissing it down with rain, with thick cloud cover, but it was forecasted to be clear. I really didn't trust it, but here we are. Some amazing clear skies and some really good seeing because a heavy system has just moved through. I don't know the theory behind it, don't trust me. We're going to be looking at the Andromeda Galaxy today, which I'm extremely excited for. I've never done it before because it's always been too big in an eyepiece or too affected by coma, but now that I've got a coma corrector, I can hopefully take an amazing picture of it. It's pretty much straight up in the sky with ideal seeing conditions and ideal positioning. The only thing that's not ideal is it's already like 11:15. It is a Friday, so I'm going to be up till about 3, but it is late, so I'm tired. But yeah, let's get set up and let's start shooting. To ensure we get the best performance out of our new coma corrector, I want to make sure I have fully in collimation, so I'm going to be using that. It's a laser collimator. My mum got it for me for Christmas a couple of years back, and I never got around to using it because I kind of forgot about it, but we can use this now, and that should be working. I think that's how it works. I'm going to tinker around this and then show you when it's done.
Your lips, my lips, apocalypse. Your lips, my lips, apocalypse. Go and sneak us through the rivers.
I don't think I can quite explain how clear it is out here. We've got full autumn sky. In fact, we've got the Pleiades just there, we've got Cassiopeia there, Andromeda Galaxy there, Triangulum there, and Jupiter rising over there. And that's going to be a really nice night of astrophotography because it's my first proper light with my coma corrector. I'm doing a target that I previously couldn't do because of its size in the eyepiece, but this, reducing the eyepiece ever so slightly, gives me the ability to do it. I'll show you how the coma corrector fits on the telescope on a closer look in just a second, but thank you for joining me and welcome to autumn. Let's get to it. So the coma corrector screws onto the camera. Please ensure, if you're using a Skywatcher scope and a Skywatcher coma corrector and a Canon camera, you buy the Skywatcher T-ring. It costs double that the Spony one does, but it's a different diameter around this way and it deals with back focus. And back focus, quickly, is the distance between the coma corrector's glass and the camera sensor to ensure that it does actually work and get rid of the coma, and does that. Now fitting it on here is slightly terrifying. I'll show you why. Now that massive thing I just showed you doesn't feel like it should fit in there, but it does, and it fits just flush there. So now this is attached, we're good to start shooting. That is the Andromeda Galaxy, and those are dust lanes. That is, where's my head? There's my CA32, little guy. God, what a sight. This is one shot. I've actually never properly done this galaxy, so this is actually amazing. I gotta keep the framing very careful. You see, I've got it diagonal because it's really long this way. I don't want to make sure I get as much of it as I can. The field is really flat though. Look at the stars down there. Look at that. Circles. Who would have thought? Let's get shooting. Alright, so we've got our first set of data in serial here. This is what we've got in the first night. I've had a look at this, it's looking pretty alright. The framing, as you can see, is crucial because this really stretches. And the coma's looking pretty good. That's just a little bit trailing, that's okay. But yeah, as I said, the galaxy's huge. If I had it just like sideways on, we'd be losing detail on the side, so we've got to kind of have it at this angle. On the note of that, I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. Apply. Yeah, there we go. So the gradient, I would love to tell you what it comes from. I think it comes from outside light sources. So I've got neighbours, I've got street lights, not too bad street lights, but mainly neighbours' lights shining onto my telescope every now and again, especially in my garden. So that's probably what's causing the gradient. On top of that, London is really near to me. I think I'm only like 20 miles out, so it's enough for the light pollution really to have an impact, especially on the colour if we do auto stretch. Look how ugly that looks. Alright, so what we've got going on here? We'll talk about it in a second. We're going to generate. This is actually my second time processing this, because I did once before, and I was only able to get it looking like this, because it was a very quick process, but we're going to attempt to get something good. Surely the data's better than that, like, yeah. I've just deleted... oh, no, I've done the right one, never mind. Okay, so we're going to talk about what we're looking at just here in a second, once this computes. Okay, we need to not do this yet. We need to crop this down a little bit. We'll do preserve ratio. Where's the middle? That's like here. No. Oh, there we go. So if we're going to crop that down a little bit, it's fine. We're losing a bit of data. That's fine. It'll make the image better overall. Then we do background extraction, generate. Get rid of these points. So the main thing with this is you want to right click the points that are covering your object, so the software is able to differentiate between like the background and your object. So and also you want to avoid any spots that are like directly on top of stars, because it screws up. So I think we're actually okay. How many stars there are? It's really cool. I fear we might get some, because these are really close to the edge, I fear we might get some weird effects on the sides, which we can deal with. That's fine. I'm no stranger to that. Okay, look at you looking pretty. If we bring it down to auto stretch, there we go. That's looking a lot nicer than it was. So next we want to histogram. Bring this up. There we go. There's a cheeky little Andromeda Galaxy. So, M31 is the Andromeda Galaxy, but this little smudge here is, it's looking really cool, this, is Messier 32, and it's a very tiny dwarf galaxy that's orbiting the Andromeda Galaxy, and is absolutely dwarfed in comparison, but it makes you, like, you gotta realize that's a galaxy still, like that's still full of life, and it's still got all sorts of stuff happening, millions of stars, and Sorry, I'm just focusing, and just, but it looks like just this tiny dot in comparison. So it's a crazy sense of scale. I mean, yeah, for only one night of data, 50 minutes of exposure, this is fantastic detail. Like, especially if we zoom in and you can see like these dust lanes around the core of the galaxy. It's really nice. And because we're using chroma corrector, look, it's holding up here. There's a little bit of chroma, because I think it was somewhat out of collimation, but that's fine. We could deal with that. The angle of this galaxy is really cool. Anyways, I'm going to stop yapping. The next step is to take this into StarNet, remove the stars, and we can take it into Photoshop and start kind of messing around with it there and getting more fine adjustments. So I'm going to switch my brain off, and because commentating over processing completely is not my thing at all, so I'm going to make some changes, throw it into StarNet, and then I'll take it into Photoshop. Alright, so we've got our data fully StarNetted into Photoshop. So we're going to do what we always do. So we're going to take the starless one, plop it on top of that, change the mode to subtract, flatten this image, and now we have just the stars that look terrible when they're isolated, because it takes a certain amount, as you can see, like it's not going to take the full star. But now we are able to basically, in effect, edit the galaxy without editing the stars. And look at this, man, isn't that gorgeous? Alright, we're going to start by getting rid of green, as always, because always too much green. Too much, maybe 2. That's pretty good. Maybe a little more. Now we're going to try something interesting. We're going to... Because the Andromeda Galaxy is kind of a bluey purple. And I'm trying to get that. There we go. That's you see that very slight change to the core color. Now we can kind of start maybe evening out this background a little more. Something like that. It's pretty good. Now, because this is just just the actual object, we can kind of look at sharpening it maybe, see how this goes. I actually have no idea how this is going to work. Oof. Actually look ugly when you do that. But if we tune this down, maybe tune that down, but tune that up. No, turn this down and this up. Not that much. 4. Just a very slight sharpening. We may lose this when we reduce noise, but it's kind of worth just seeing how it works, really. Alright, and then it's only initial night. I'm going to add more data to this. But I mean, we can still keep doing this. There is definitely going to be an improved image when we add more data, because there's going to be less noise, more detail, especially on the dimmer areas, like these outer bits. But let's see, we can get rid of the color noise, just a little bit of noise reduction, brings us kind of back down to earth. Well, the noise reduction's done. That took way longer than I expected. So we can now, I think, bring in the stars. So we'll go over here, we'll see what's happening here, how these stars looking, the colours looking alright. Maybe reduce that green just a little bit. There we go. Just nothing crazy. Bring this over, they should fully align up. No, I forgot to do something to the stars. Whoopsies. No, I forgot to do something to the stars. So we go over here, we're going to do select, color range, the middle of that. Okie dokie, selection, modify, expand for, yeah, modify, feather 1,
And then we do filter 0 minimum. And this just shrinks the stars a little bit just to make them less overexposed, because obviously, whoops, they're kind of like a dominating point of light because they're much closer. So this is bringing them back down to the actual kind of level that they would be at. Put this on top. We make this. Is it lighten? No. This, yeah. This is really good. This is like really good. This is 50 minutes. This is insane. The coma corrector's doing a lot here. Because if you look at the previous images that I've taken of Andromeda, which I'll show a little later on, they are absolutely destroyed by coma. A lot of the good images I take of the Dumbbell Nebula, the Omega Nebula, the Eagle Nebula, they are all cropped down significantly to try and mitigate the like chromatic aberration effect. But because we have the coma corrector, we just don't have to do that. So we can just take a full frame picture, which means a lot more resolution, a lot more object, and a lot nicer looking stars. I think this is as good as I'm going to get it for 50 minutes, but damn, I can't wait to add more data to this. Well, let's hope it's clear again soon. See you then.
It was forecasted to be pretty cloudy today, but that doesn't really look cloudy to me. We're going to give this another shot. Second night on the Andromeda Galaxy. Let's do it.
Breaking my back in the heart of this land, feet above water and soften in sand. I could have wanted any part of this. But I find the heat is too harsh on the skin. Drowning in light, need the cold to sink into my soul. My soul.
So I've started shooting. The atmosphere really isn't as good as yesterday. It's quite moggy, kind of this yellowy tint to it. It should be still okay because it's not too shaky and I'm not losing as much information as I may be thinking, because comparing it to some shots from yesterday, yes, it's a slightly different color, but I'm still seeing the same like arm from the Andromeda Galaxy and some dim details that I could. I'm taking every clear night I can get out here. It's a gift to be back and doing this again, and I'm loving every minute of it. So I did kind of consider packing it in for the night, but I think it's supposed to get better rather than worse as time goes on. So we're just going to stick it out. I'm going to stick some food in the oven and enjoy my night.
No signs of change, no more. I come back.
Hello. Yeah, all's going good. We're just continuing shooting. The data's pretty good despite the kind of skies being a little foggier and a little murky. Still getting good detail, and like I said, not enough murk to worry about. It's a really pretty night out there. The skies are really clear. I love the autumn sky. Seeing Cassiopeia and Andromeda and the Pleiades in the sky, it's just amazing. Especially right now, because there's Jupiter and Saturn in the sky too. So there's just many, many gems in the sky. It's gorgeous. It's really cold out, and I absolutely love the winter, especially for astrophotography, because I started this hobby in the winter back on December 12th, 2018, and here we are, almost 6 years later. I will be doing a 6-year video, but it's insane. But it's really good to be kind of back at the roots of it, and man, Andromeda, what a view. It's really something special. I'm inside because it's cold out. It's like 7 degrees, feels like 4, and that's not too bad, but when you kind of just stood out there, it gets pretty bad. So yeah, I'm gonna go back out now because I want to check on everything, make sure it's all running smooth. But yeah, I think we'll be able to get 2 hours tonight, and that'll be a very good start. We'll see if the data kind of combines well though.
like, we're just gonna have to find out later, but yippee! And there's some clouds coming in, which is perfectly fine. Dew started to form on the mirror again. It is quite cold, so it was bound to happen. Currently I'm just shooting a few minutes on the Pleiades, which is, there you go, you can see that. Just to test out the framing and how the coma corrector deals with it, because it's a target I want to do. It's a target I have done before, but it just got obliterated by the coma. So I'm just running a few tests quick, like 15 minutes of exposure. We've got Jupiter down here again, super yellow because there's so much murk in the atmosphere. Saturn is somewhere behind that tree, and that is a plane. Alright, I'm gonna get packed up and I'm gonna start the stacking, and then I'm probably gonna go to bed. It's only 11, but I feel like I'm getting old. An early night sounds fantastic. Good night. Hello, I'm in bed again. So, I was processing the image yesterday night, and then I got really tired, so I went to bed. But my giddiness for it has remained, so I feel it is right I can make this little entry. So I gathered 2 hours and 12 minutes on the Andromeda Galaxy with my new coma corrector from my back garden, and it's turned out amazing. I planned for 3 hours, and on the third night I just couldn't get anything going. The tracking wasn't working, the conditions weren't great, and it just wasn't meant to be. So I called it early and just reprocessed and turned this image into this. So that's what we're looking at. As of right now, I don't know if I'm going to do a third night or I'm going to move on to the double cluster, which I want to do next. But I'm just going to have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm over the moon to be doing this object properly. It's always been one of those objects that's bright, well known and easy to shoot that I've just never done. My very first photo of it was taken on my old telescope, and this is what it looks like. And I remember showing this to my friends, being like, that's the Andromeda Galaxy. And not many people understanding my level of excitement, because it's just a blob. And it is just a blob, but I knew what that blob was, and that's what had me so giddy. The next attempt was using my 8-inch scope, and I was absolutely over the moon again at the fact that I can see the spiral arm. I actually have a video of me in my kitchen after stacking the data, like freaking out over the thing. I'll show it. I love this new telescope. Oh my gosh, this is barely any data. This is like nothing. You can see the arm there, you can see it. I remember again showing that to everybody, being like, this is the arm of the Andromeda Galaxy, and then I realised how absolutely massive this galaxy is in the eyepiece. The next attempt I sunk 50 minutes in with poor processing skills and not great data acquisition, and I got this and then a nasty gradient problem that I was dealing with. This is before I moved over to Cyril. I was doing it all on GIMP, and it's really hard to get rid of a gradient on a GIMP, so I did my best. After that, just before I left for uni, I shot 10 minutes on the Andromeda Galaxy and got this. But now, here we are, properly shooting it and getting, I think, my best image to date. It's really good. The resolution's amazing. The fact that it's full, like, FOV, and it's not cropped down at all, it's just amazing. I cannot express how great it is to be doing this again regularly. And the skies are cooperating. It's crazy. Alright, let's see what lies a little deeper. You're gonna have to forgive me a little bit, I'm just getting over a cold so you can still hear it in my voice, or if I cough, there's a lot of cuts. That's why. So the Andromeda Galaxy is a spiral galaxy in the constellation of Andromeda, which didn't really need explaining, but here we are. It's 135,000 light years across approximately, and it's quite a bit bigger than the Milky Way, which is only around 100,000 light years across. I say only because in galactic sense that's not too massive, but obviously in a human scale that's unfathomably large. It is 2.537 million light years away, which makes it the furthest object that we have observed since kind of coming back to this hobby and making this official series in the Messier catalogue. So, milestone. It's got an apparent magnitude of 3.44, which means it's quite bright. If you need a reminder, the lower the number, the brighter it is. Venus peaks at like -1. Full moon, couldn't tell you, but I'll put it on screen. Some of the most dim objects reach up to like 25 or 30 or something. It's around 10.01 billion years old, and again, a bit of perspective, the universe is estimated to be around 14.6 billion years old. So it's not too much younger than the universe, which is kind of crazy. Even crazier, though, it is younger than the Messier 15 star cluster in Pegasus that we looked at in the previous video, which is around 12 billion years old. Which, in my head, doesn't seem right that the star's going to be older than a galaxy, but that's just the way the universe is. If you notice, it's not a face-on galaxy, and it's oriented somewhat like this, so we've got the core in the middle here and my middle finger knuckles, and then we've got the furthest ridge out here, and then the closest arm here, just moving towards us in space. More on that later. Its discovery was a fundamental turning point in our knowledge of the universe. Also, more on that later, because we have another little guy to talk about here. In this image, we feature Messier 31, which is this big guy, and Messier 32, which is this small little glowy smudge next to it. It's a dwarf elliptical galaxy, which is an extremely rare type of galaxy. Typically, elliptical galaxies are the result of spiral galaxies colliding and just turning into this old, dying, dimly lit orange glow of stars in a black hole. With no specific rotation or order to it, as you see in a spiral galaxy, it's just this ball rather than this disk. But this is a dwarf elliptical. It's super tiny, and it's theorized that it is an elliptical galaxy because of its proximity to Messier 31. It orbits Messier 31, and because of this, its features were probably ripped away in an orbit that strayed just a little too close to Messier 31's central black hole. This is only 6,000 light years across, approximately, because it's a circle. I think it's like 5,500 by 6,000. And it's 2.489 million light years away, and it's got an apparent magnitude of 8.1, so it's quite a lot dimmer than Messier 31, which makes sense because it is absolutely dwarfed by it. And as I said, it is orbiting Messier 31, and I cannot tell you how long it takes to orbit it, because everywhere I looked I couldn't find the information, but I'm assuming it is an absolutely unfathomable amount of time. It may not have even had one complete rotation, because you got to remember, though it may look really close, the scale in which that it's moving is just insane. To get a little perspective, I think Neptune has only made one complete rotation since its discovery, and that's only in our solar system, which is just like an atom in comparison to these galaxies. So, yeah. Now, also nearby, but not featured in my image, is Messier 110, the final object in its catalogue. I have a very short exposure picture of it here. It's this kind of smudgy galaxy, and there'll be a dedicated video for this in the future, so I'm not gonna delve into the details because it's got enough going on that I'm gonna just focus video on it rather than just talking about it like Messier 32. The back to it being a significant turning point in our knowledge of the universe. When the Andromeda Galaxy was discovered, it was actually catalogued as what was known as a spiral nebula, because back then we didn't know that we weren't the only galaxy, and obviously the assumption was originally that the Earth was flat and everything orbited around the Earth, because that's how it looked. Then we discovered about the Sun, that we orbit around the Sun, and we're not the centre of the solar system. Then we kind of assumed we're the centre of the universe. Then we realised, oh, there's a bit more on this side than it is on this side. Then we assumed, okay, we're the only galaxy in the universe because we can't see any others. And then Edwin Hubble made the discovery that the Andromeda Galaxy was 2 point whatever the hell million light years away. So there's no way that it could exist in our galaxy. And side note, I just want to know how you would feel where everyone's believing this one thing and you run your own numbers on it and it's just saying this is not possible and your whole understanding of the universe changes. That's going to be pretty cool. So Edwin Hubble claimed that the Andromeda Galaxy was its own cosmic island, and this topic was debated in 1920 in what was known as the Great Debate. It was between Harlow Shapley and Heber Curtis over the scale of the universe. Curtis argued that the universe was made up of many galaxies that had their own systems and stars and planets in them, and Shapley believed the spiral nebula were just swirls of gas in space and we were the only galaxy. As we know now, the idea that we're the only galaxy is absolutely almost stupid. Just looking at the Hubble Deep Field, where we just pointed our telescope at just this patch of dark sky where we saw nothing, and we saw this, a sky full and rich of these islands that we will never ever get to and never ever be able to see into or exist next to, but just shows how unfathomably large the universe is. Now, going back to the information about the actual galaxy, it is ginormous in the night sky. As you can see from my picture, it takes up the whole field of view. It's much bigger than the full moon in the sky, and the reason you can't see it is because it's just so far away and everything but the core is so dim. If we were able to see it in its full glory, it would look something like this next to the full moon, and that would be an absolute sight to behold. And it's not the only object that's like this. A lot of objects in the night sky, like the California Nebula, the Rosette Nebula, to name another one, and the Veil Nebula, they all take up significant parts of the sky, but it's just too far away to see. They really break this kind of preconceived understanding that the pictures taken by Hubble and people in their back garden are of these tiny, tiny objects that you need massive magnification to see, but in reality you just need a little more light, and Andromeda is a prime example of this. As I said earlier, Andromeda Galaxy is moving towards us. It is moving towards us at around 300 kilometers a second relative to the Sun, and in the very, very, very far future, approximately 4.5 billion years later, the Andromeda Galaxy will collide with the Milky Way. And then after a couple more billion years of just messy turmoil throwing their material around, the galaxies will settle into being this new, massive, and bright elliptical galaxy called Milkdromeda, which I think is a pretty cool name. If the Earth, let alone humans, were around long enough to see this, the night sky would be absolutely gorgeous. Throughout the years, it would go from this to this to this during the actual collision, where the black holes are in turmoil around each other. This process isn't alien to us. There are many examples of interacting galaxies that we can observe and study and use to predict the future of our galaxy alongside the Andromeda Galaxy. There are more tidy examples, like the Whirlpool Galaxy, where you see just this main body and then the satellite galaxy just attached to it, kind of getting ripped apart and throwing material off, but the main galaxy is pretty held together. Because of the gravitational interactions, these strongly defined spiral arms are created, but we'll talk more about that in Messier 51's video in the spring. But there are also much more catastrophic and messy examples of this process, much more down the line, between two galaxies that were much more closer in mass. This is the Antenna Galaxy, and here is a close-up of this, and I think this is one of my favourite things in the night sky. It's just this mess of this cosmic sludge. It looks really pretty. You can almost see what it would feel like to touch if it was small enough. The mess of these collisions is caused by the supermassive black hole at the centre of most galaxies, and Messier 31 is no stranger to this. The bulge you see in the middle, it's similar to that of the Milky Way, is caused by the super dense clusters of stars located in the middle around that central black hole. That central black hole is predicted to weigh as much as 30 billion times as heavy as the Sun, which is just insane. This is truly and truly a highlight of the Messier catalogue, and arguably one of the most well-known jewels of the night sky. It's visible with binoculars in certain areas and the naked eye in others. I would seriously recommend you fighting to see this object, whether it's with a telescope, just a camera, or hell, even your smartphone nowadays, because those things are getting really advanced. I also want to seriously thank you for coming with me on this journey and sticking through this long-ass video. So, that's 9 out of 110 Messier objects now completed. I'm counting Messier 31 and 32 today. And, yeah, super happy with this image, super happy with how the colours turned out, the detail, and it's kind of a weight off the shoulder. I've finally done arguably the most essential deep sky object to do. So, that's it from me. Thank you for watching. Have a good night, clear skies, never stop looking up. Good night.